Once upon a time, a cat and a mouse decided to live together, sharing a small cozy home. They struck up an unusual but happy partnership. Despite their differences, they vowed to take care of each other and share everything. To prepare for winter, they decided to save some food in case times became hard. Together, they purchased a small pot of fat and decided to store it in a safe place. "We will keep it hidden under the altar in the church," said the cat. The mouse nodded in agreement. She trusted the cat and had no reason to suspect otherwise. She felt comforted, knowing that they had something to fall back on. Every day, she worked hard to gather little crumbs to eat. As time passed, the cat grew increasingly tempted by the thought of the fat. She couldn't shake the desire to taste it. One morning, as they were enjoying breakfast, the cat spoke up about a christening. The cat claimed her cousin had a kitten and asked her to be the godmother. The mouse, although surprised, smiled kindly and encouraged her to go. The cat left and headed straight for the church to taste the fat. The cat uncovered the pot and licked the fat off the very top, savoring the taste. When she returned home, she acted as if nothing had happened. The mouse asked about the christening, and the cat lied about the name Top Off. The mouse thought nothing more of it, and they continued their daily lives. However, the cat's desire for the fat returned. She found herself making plans to visit the pot again, using another christening as an excuse. The cat announced another invitation, claiming her cousin had a second child. The mouse wished her well, and the cat went to the church, eating halfway down the fat. She returned home, hiding her guilt. When the mouse asked about the christening, the cat lied again, saying the baby was named Half-Gone. The mouse was puzzled, but accepted the explanation. Days passed, and winter was drawing near. The mouse felt reassured about their pot of fat for the colder days, but the cat couldn't resist and made another excuse to visit the church, claiming a third christening. She promised to return soon. The cat hurried to the pot of fat and ate all of it, licking the pot clean. She returned home, appearing innocent. The mouse eagerly asked about the baby's name, and the cat replied, "None left." The mouse was perplexed by the name, but didn't suspect the truth. Winter arrived and food became scarce. The mouse suggested they go to their pot of fat. The cat tried to change the subject, but the mouse insisted. They went to the church together, but the pot was empty. The mouse was horrified, realizing the truth behind the names. "You've eaten it all, haven't you?" cried the mouse, feeling hurt and betrayed. The cat admitted slyly, "Yes, I ate it all." The mouse felt her heart sink, and anger welled up inside her. "You tricked me," she exclaimed. "I trusted you, and you betrayed me." Before the mouse could utter another word, the cat pounced on her, claws bared, and devoured her in one swift motion. For the cat, the mouse had served her purpose, and now there was no need for trust or friendship. The cat returned home, alone and satisfied, with no regrets or remorse for the friend she had so cunningly deceived. Moral: the story serves as a timeless caution about trust and betrayal, reminding us to choose our friends wisely. Once upon a time, in a village nestled at the edge of a great and shadowy forest, there lived a poor woodcutter and his wife. The couple had only one child, a little girl with golden hair and eyes that gleamed like sunlight filtering through leaves. Despite their poverty, the woodcutter and his wife loved their daughter deeply. They named her Elisabeth, but the villagers often referred to her as Starling because of her bright spirit and the way she flitted about like a bird. Though they had little, the family's life was content. The woodcutter worked tirelessly in the forest, gathering wood to sell, while his wife tended to their small garden. Elisabeth, curious and cheerful, spent her days exploring the edges of the woods. She was fascinated by the tall trees and the songs of the birds, though her mother always warned her never to wander too far. One summer, a terrible famine struck the land. The crops withered, the rivers ran low, and the forest grew eerily silent. The woodcutter's family, already poor, found themselves on the brink of starvation. With each passing day, their hope dwindled like the crumbs of bread left in their cupboard. One morning, the woodcutter took Elisabeth with him to the forest. "Stay close, darling," he warned as they entered the dense grove. But even as she nodded obediently, her eyes wandered, following the shimmering light that danced between the trees. As her father worked, Elisabeth ventured a little further, drawn by a strange and beautiful melody. It was like the sound of a harp, delicate and ethereal. She stepped deeper into the woods until she reached a clearing bathed in golden light. There, amidst a circle of flowers that seemed to glow, stood a radiant figure clothed in shimmering blue robes. It was none other than the Virgin Mary, though Elisabeth, being a young child, only saw a kind and gentle lady with eyes full of love. "Little one," the lady said in a voice like the rustling of leaves, "why do you wander alone?" Elisabeth curtsied clumsily, her golden hair falling in a cascade around her face. "My father is working, and I heard the music." The lady smiled. "You have a pure heart, child. Would you like to come with me? I will care for you, and you shall never want for anything." Elisabeth hesitated, glancing back toward the direction of her father. "Will my parents come too?" "They cannot, but you will be safe and loved in my care," said the Virgin Mary. She extended her hand, and in it appeared a bouquet of glowing flowers. "Take these to your father. He will understand." When Elisabeth returned to her father, the flowers in her hands seemed to transform into a pile of golden coins. The woodcutter was astonished. When Elisabeth told him about the lady in the forest, his eyes filled with both wonder and sorrow. He knew he could not provide the life his daughter deserved, and though it broke his heart, he gave her permission to go. The Virgin Mary appeared again that evening, and with her, the child disappeared into a cloud of golden light. Elisabeth awoke to find herself in a place unlike anything she had ever known. It was a realm of soft clouds and golden skies. Angels sang in harmonious voices, and every corner of this heavenly kingdom seemed to radiate peace and joy. "Welcome to my home," said the Virgin Mary, leading Elisabeth to a grand hall filled with treasures and wonders. "Here you will live as my daughter. You may explore as you wish, but there is one condition. The door at the end of the golden hallway must remain locked. You must never enter." Elisabeth nodded solemnly. "I promise." And so, Elizabeth's new life began. She lived surrounded by beauty and kindness. The angels became her friends, and the Virgin Mary treated her with boundless love. Years passed, and Elizabeth grew into a lovely young woman. Her days were filled with joy, but the forbidden door at the end of the golden hallway began to weigh on her mind. Each time she passed it, she felt an odd pull, a whisper of curiosity. One day, unable to resist, Elisabeth approached the door. It was plain and unadorned, yet it seemed to thrum with an otherworldly energy. She placed her hand on the latch, but hesitated. "The lady has given me everything," she whispered to herself. "I must not betray her trust." Yet the whispering pull grew stronger. Finally, with trembling hands, she unlocked the door and stepped inside. The room beyond was bathed in a blinding light. At its center stood the Holy Trinity, their glory too magnificent for mortal eyes. Elizabeth gasped and stumbled back, but it was too late. The divine radiance left a mark on her, staining her hands with golden light. When the Virgin Mary discovered what had happened, her face was grave. "Elizabeth, have you entered the forbidden room?" "No," Elizabeth lied, hiding her golden hands behind her back. The Virgin Mary sighed deeply, her eyes filled with sorrow. "You have not only disobeyed, but also lied. For this, you can no longer remain here." With those words, Elisabeth was cast out of heaven and returned to the earth. She found herself in the middle of a forest, alone and bewildered. Her beautiful robes were gone, replaced by simple rags. Elisabeth wandered through the forest, her heart heavy with regret. She eventually came upon a small village and found work as a servant. Though her hands still gleamed faintly with golden light, she kept them hidden, a constant reminder of her fall from grace. Years passed, and Elisabeth lived humbly, helping others where she could. Her kindness won her the admiration of the villagers, but she never spoke of her past. One day, a king from a neighboring land came to visit. He was struck by Elisabeth's quiet beauty and gentle nature. Before long, they were married, and Elisabeth became queen. As queen, Elisabeth was loved by her people. She and the king were soon blessed with a child, a son who was the light of their lives. But Elisabeth's happiness was short-lived. One night, the Virgin Mary appeared to her in a dream. "Elisabeth, do you regret your lie?" "Yes," Elisabeth whispered. "Then confess, and I will forgive you." But Elisabeth, still ashamed, remained silent. The Virgin Mary's face hardened. "Until you confess, your child will be taken from you." The next morning, Elisabeth awoke to find her son gone. The loss of her child shattered Elisabeth. She searched for him tirelessly, but he was nowhere to be found. Each night, the Virgin Mary appeared to her with the same question: "Will you confess?" Finally, after years of sorrow, Elisabeth fell to her knees and wept. "I confess, I lied, and I disobeyed. I am sorry." The Virgin Mary's expression softened, and she reached out to Elisabeth. "Your humility and repentance have redeemed you." At that moment, Elisabeth's son was returned to her, and her golden hands faded to their natural color. With her son in her arms, Elisabeth felt a peace she had never known. She ruled her kingdom with wisdom and compassion, always remembering the lessons of her journey. When Elisabeth's time on earth ended, the Virgin Mary welcomed her back to heaven, where she lived in eternal joy.